Y'all like that. but okay, this one actually doesn't have a title, but like if you saw like my Twitter, it just says Dan K EGGERNANTT. Do you know that meme? Like where the dude's just like reading like pregnant?
Yeah.
Pregante? Gregorant? Oh, what the hell? Shadow is all like, my mom heard this stream and asked, who's the old lady?
Wow. So which one of us is the old one here? Just out of curiosity.
Who's the old lady? Wrong answers only. So we'll never know. I will say, last week, I went to like this festival. This dude asked me to dance, and I was kind of asking for it. And then he asked me, so how old are you? And usually when people ask me how old I am, they usually guess something like younger. I'm like, you're so nice. So I asked him, how old do you think I am? And he's all like 38. And I looked at him and I'm all like, oh my God, I'm so self-conscious now. No, you did not. You did not just say I'm 38. I'm sure there's like great 38-year-olds, like great looking 38-year-olds, but I don't know why I felt offended.
Wow.
You do not sound old, either of you. Thank you. Thank you, Mythic. Mythic is too kind. Look, yes, you go eat, Mythic. You go eat.
Yum, yum.
Okay, but yeah, we still haven't decided. Dan Hung or Kalis? Let's see.
Sorry, I didn't mean to adjust on.
Oh no, it's all good. I barely was able to tell.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not touching this. I'm closing the studio.
Okay.
I opened it for a second because it looked like I froze, and then
Oh
you know
no!
how when you hit the scroll wheel, how it resizes if you're.
Oh yeah.
So she started moving. It's like, wait, no, stop.
Oh no.
Anyway, moving on. Getting into it.
Okay, so who do you want to be? I'll let you get first dibs.
I think I want to be them.
Okay, you can be Dan Hung. So how about like the fics that we wrote ourselves? We will be our own narrator.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I guess I'll be Kalis and the narrator. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm practicing my sight reading. So I might stumble upon my words. I apologize. We're gonna try our best to act this out. I know Salix is gonna do an amazing job. And thank you for the follow too, Mythic. Hello, Pie. Hello.
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 You're just in time.
Just in time. So let me move my alerts. Oh! Thank you, Keydras. Thank you for the Prime sub. Enjoy the emotes. People are so kind today. Okay. Okay, guys, we're going to start. Should I let them know warnings? Warnings. There is EGGERNANTT. If you know what EGGERNANTT is, then great. If you don't, I'm sorry.
If you don't, you're about to.
You're about to. Okay. Ready, steady, go! Dan Hung, I want your eggs. Dan Hung looked at Kalis with confusion. He looked down at his breakfast, then back up to the silvered-haired man.
I'm sorry, but there seems to only be a couple bites left. There are more eggs in the fridge if you'd like some.
No, I want your eggs.
You want me to cook you more eggs?
No! I want your eggs in me.
I'm sorry, Kalis. I don't understand. What exactly do you mean by my eggs?
Dan Hung took a sip of his orange juice. Moments later, March 7th walked in. I guess I'll be Marched. Hey guys, what you talking about? I want you to impregnate me with your videotter eggs. Dan Hung sprayed his orange juice all over March.
March, I'm so sorry.
Dan Hung handed her a towel. March gave them both a disgusting look. Really? At breakfast? Maybe you guys should talk about this somewhere private. Good idea, March. Kalis dragged Dan Hung by the wrist to the archives. As they walked away, March gave a shrug and claimed both of her friends' half-eaten plates. Once they arrived in the archives, Kalis closed the doors and started to strip.
Kalis, what on earth are you doing?
Kalis stopped stripping after removing his underwear, but still had his shirt on. Dan Hung was thankful it was long enough to cover his junk. Oh, sorry, that was me. You, aren't you going to impregnate me now? Dan Hung looked away and tried to hide his blush. He gave a loud sigh.
Kalis, I didn't agree to anything. Also, we're not even dating.
What does dating have to do with it?
Aren't you only supposed to do it with the one you're dating or married to?
Really? I've done it with people who weren't dating me. Dan Hung was taken aback by that statement. What was that little ping in his chest? Maybe it was the feeling of annoyance? Kalis was probably trying to rub his body count in his face because he was still a virgin.
Well, for me, I can't do it casually.
Then let's date. What in the world was going on with Kalis today?
You're only supposed to date people you love, Kalis.
But I do love you, so we're dating now? That really caught Dan Hung off guard. He nearly fell over. This time he could not hide the extreme redness in his face. He tried his best to compose himself. He walked over to Kalis, grabbed him by the shoulders, and gently pushed him out of the room. So are we?
I need time to regain the brain cells I lost. I'll see you later, Kalis.
With that, he closed the door and locked it. Seconds later, he heard Kalis knocking and calling his name. Dan Hung? Hey, Dan Hung! Please let me back in. He tried to ignore it for a few minutes, but guilt took him over.
Yes?
Can I get my pants back? Dan Hung became flustered again.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
He handed them over to the silvered-haired man. Kalis smiled and gave Dan Hung a peace sign. Thank you. See you later, boyfriend. With that, Kalis merrily strolled off. What in the world was Dan Hung going to do with this guy? What was he going to do with the pain in his chest, too? Every day for the next few days, he would find Kalis in his room in different provocative outfits. Every time it happened, he would throw a jacket at him and politely escort him out. Every time the outfit became raunchier and raunchier. It was getting harder for Dan Hung to resist the temptation, but he wouldn't give in. One day, after a mission in Bellabog, Dan Hung found Kalis in his bed at the... to be honest, I do not know how to pronounce that. Is it Goth? Goth?
I think it's Goth.
Goth, okay. The Goth Hotel. He wore a reverse bunny girl outfit and was nonchalantly scrolling through his phone, chuckling at silly videos. Kalis noticed Dan Hung. He smiled and gave a small wave. Hello, boyfriend. At this point, Dan Hung nearly let his feral inner dragon come out. How could this cute little bunny be sitting in his bed so defenseless? He shook off the urge and demanded Kalis to get out. But why?
I'm sleepy and you have your own room. Good night, Kalis.
Kalis shrugged and got up. Before leaving, he gave Dan Hung... Oh my god, I misspelled that. Dan Hung a peck on the cheek and winked. Good night, boyfriend. See you at breakfast. Kalis once again departed merrily. Dan Hung had no idea how long he could hold back. Was he too in love with Kalis? Actually, did Kalis even love him? Maybe he'd say anything just to carry Dan Hung's eggs. The silver-haired man did say he'd done it casually before. He started feeling the pain in his chest again. Anger slowly started to overtake him. Maybe the next time Kalis tried to seduce him again, he'd give in. Not because of love or love or wanting to give Kalis the eggs he wanted so badly. It would be to punish him. He imagined himself doing Kalis into submission. He wouldn't be slow and passionate. It would be rough and feral. Even if he begged Dan Heng to stop or slow down, he wouldn't. He'd keep going, even if the other man would pass out. Just to spite him, every time he would feel a climax coming, he would pull out and unleash his seed on Kalis' stomach. Or maybe his face? He'd love to see him covered in his... Dan Heng felt his little dragon below harden.
Wait, what am I thinking? This isn't me. What in the world are you doing to me, Kalis?
Since it was late and he had an early day tomorrow, he decided to go to bed, not before relieving his little dragon below. While doing so, he could hear voices coming from outside. It became a little hard to concentrate when the voices became louder. Soft chatter became loud, annoying laughter. He looked outside his window. To his surprise, he saw Kalis dressed in his reverse bunny girl outfit still. Of course he wouldn't change before going outside. At first, Dan Heng decided to just let him be and go to bed. His little dragon was deflated now, and Kalis was an adult, not to mention very strong. He definitely was able to take care of himself. Then he saw who he was talking to. Sampo? When did they get close, he wondered. He got a better view of this scene and saw his hand around Kalis' waist. He immediately got dressed, grabbed an extra coat for Kalis, and dashed outside. Oh, by the way, do you want to be Sampo? He literally only has one line, though. Okay. But like I said, it was fun, but...
When did you two start getting along?
Dan Heng cut Kalis off before he could finish. Kalis' face brightened. Dan Heng! I thought you were going to bed. Don't tell me. You've decided to let me sleep with you tonight? Dan Heng grabbed Kalis' arm and pulled him towards himself.
Yes, actually.
He said while putting his extra jacket around Kalis' shoulders. Sampo and Kalis gasped. Wait, really?
Yes. Don't make me repeat myself.
How to avoid Twitch TOS like a flake. Hello. I'll try my best. Hold on, I gotta sneeze for a second. Oh my god, Pi. DM me, Pi. He redeemed one of the very big rewards. Okay. The black-haired man looked over to Sampo and then back to Kalis.
Why are you hanging around him anyways?
We're just catching up. I also told him no more casual hookups anymore. There's a few people I need to tell. I'm a taken man after all, Kalis declared joyously. Yes, it indeed made him happy to hear Kalis was breaking it off with his hookups. But it still made his blood boil to hear about it, let alone meet one of them face to face.
We're going.
Kalis was raggedly dragged back into the hotel.
Congrats, you two! Wishing you all the best!
That was a good Sampo impression. Sampo shouted. Dan Heng gave him a venomous glare, then continued quickly, pacing to his room. Before Kalis could say anything, Dan Heng went in for a deep kiss. Minutes after making out, he told Kalis.
You won't be saying anything tonight but my name.
Kalis' eyes sparkled, and he nodded with obedience. Dan Heng decided to let go and give in to his urges. Their night was filled with intense passion and pleasure. Let me go. Thank you. The next day, Dan Heng told March it would be just the two of them for the mission. He informed Kalis We informed her Kayla's caught a cold. March nodded and pretended she didn't know anything. Did Dan Hung not notice the huge bags under her eyes? Did he not realize her room was next to his? With connecting doors, no less? How could she sleep with all that creaking, slapping, banging, moans all night long? Let's go to a coffee shop before we go. You're paying, by the way. Dan Hung was a little confused, but nodded.
Sure thing.
Hello, Rin! A few weeks had passed. Every night was the same as it. Oh man, this was a typo. Every night was the same as their first official night together in Bellabog. Dan Hung and Kalis found themselves at the Astral Express kitchen once again, eating eggs for breakfast.
Kalis?
Mm-hmm. Kalis's mouth was stuffed with a piece of toast.
You've never told me. Why do you want my eggs so bad?
Kalis swallowed. When I saw the Videodora eggs at Scale Gorge Waterscape, I felt this intense feeling of motherly love and longing. It's a little hard to describe.
You know it's not possible, right? You're a man after all. And Videodora can't reproduce.
Kalis gave a gentle smile. I thought that too, and it bummed me out a bit. But one day, I heard Bailu talking to herself. She was a little embarrassed, but I told her to tell me her theory.
Theory?
Kalis nodded. Yep, due to the Stellaron inside me, there may be a possibility I can conceive Videodora eggs.
But why me? Weren't there other Videodora you could have borrowed a seed from?
Dan Hung said bitterly. Yes, I did think about that. Dan Hung's chest stung again. It seemed to be happening a lot since this egg fiasco started. But the only Videodora I could think of doing it with is you. It's because I love you, Dan Hung. Unlike the other times Kalis declared his love to him, he could feel the tenderness in his voice. I know you might not feel the same way, but I'm really happy you agreed to this. Dan Hung could feel his breath leave him. Oh dear, had he really not mentioned his feelings to Kalis? Now that he thought about it, all they did was fornicate and go back to being bros right after.
Kalis,
Kalis stood up suddenly. Sorry, Dan Hung. I'll be back in a sec. I think the eggs or the milk might have been bad. He ran straight to the restroom. Dan Hung chuckled. What timing. Classic Kalis. After Kalis relieved himself in the toilet, Dan Hung decided to take Kalis out somewhere nice and confess. 1 hour. It would be 1 hour since Dan Hung last heard from the silver-haired man. Where in the world was he? He tried texting him, but no response. Moments later, his phone buzzed. Was it a text from Kalis? Oh, it was just March. He opened up the text. Hey Dan Hung, are you feeling sick too? Kalis is still in the bathroom. You two were the only ones having breakfast on the express today. Hope nothing went bad.
I'm fine. Have you tried talking to him?
No, all I hear is pushing and a bit of sobbing. You're my close friend, so I'm not embarrassed to say. I've been there. Sometimes you just need your time and privacy and wait for it to pass. Constipation made sense. Kalis was eating more weird things than usual, especially out of the dumpster, but he couldn't shake off a feeling of unease. Dan Hung walked to the bathroom and banged on the door.
Kalis, are you okay? Do you need any help?
At that moment, Dan Hung broke the door open. He saw... I'm trying to make sound effects. I try my best. At that moment, Dan Hung broke the door open. He saw Kalis, face red and covered in sweat and tears.
Yes.
He embraced him gently and rubbed his back. Kalis sobbed. It hurts. It hurts. Help. It's stuck and it won't come out. Dan Hung sensed something familiar. The bathroom was masked in a familiar scent. At that moment, he knew it wasn't constipation at all. He couldn't believe it. He rushed to grab more towels and cushioning. He slowly moved Kalis off the toilet to the cushioning. In the toilet, he was greeted by one small egg, bobbing up and down in bloody water. He grabbed it, gently dried it, and placed it gently on top of a pile of towels. He knew Kalis was about to deliver a second.
Kalis, hold my hand. Squeeze if you need to.
Dan Hung helped Kalis with pacing his breathing. As he pushed, Kalis's grip tightened. Nails dug into his hand. Dan Hung was able to take the pain. It couldn't compare to what Kalis was going through right now. Moments later, their second child popped out.
You did amazing, Kalis. I love you.
Kalis gave Dan Hung a big smile. The black-haired man gave his lover a chest kiss on the lips. He cleaned Kalis and the bathroom up and brought him and the eggs to his room in the archives. He was glad they had a stop at the Shinjo Lofu. Hello, Year Zero. How we're doing great. We're just reading fics. You made it to a great part. Dan Hung called Bailu to check on Kalis and the eggs. She was shocked and extremely excited about what had occurred. She let them know that Kalis and the eggs were perfectly healthy.
You better come back when the babies hatch or I'll kick you in the shin.
That was perfect.
Yes. Thank you, Bailu. Of course. And congratulations, you two. I better be invited to the wedding.
Dan Hung smiled.
Of course. Have a safe trip back home.
Bailu waved and exited the express. Wedding? Kalis asked.
Yes, wedding. We're going to have a family after all. I promise you, you will get a beautiful proposal and a ring.
You know, you could have just proposed right now, this moment, with a ring made out of toilet paper. And I'd have said yes. Dan Hung laughed.
I know, but let me have my moment too, okay?
Of course. Kalis pulled Dan Hung down for a kiss. Moments later, the kiss became very heated. This was more difficult holding back than when Kalis attempted to seduce him with his stupid outfits. His lover had just given birth. He needed to rest. Thankfully, he heard his phone buzz.
Kalis, why don't we finish this later? March, Himiko, and Welt came back with some dinner. I'll be back with some food for you. Please, just rest.
Kalis pouted but listened. Dan Hung walked through the door. It was the loneliest 60 minutes of his life. Why did it take so long to get food? Knock, knock. Can I come in? March exclaimed behind the door. Sure. The door slammed open, and in came March, Himiko, Welt, and Dan Hung, carrying platters of his favorite dishes, presents, and balloons. Congrats! Congrats! Woo! They all shouted. You guys! Kalis had never been so happy. He loved his Astral Express family so much. He, Dan Hung, and everyone else were looking forward to the 2 new passengers aboard the Express and all the happy memories they'd make in the future. The end. Yay!